lot of people to chat with. Thank you, Eric, for having me. He has been gently nudging me to do this for a few years, and honestly, I don't consider myself an expert, just a student who's always learning about modernism, talking to people who have cool houses, and learning more about that. So I said no to him, or I shouldn't say no, I have pushed him off and just not replied to his messages for a while. And finally he's like, let's get a coffee and talk about this. So that's what we did this winter. And I said, okay, I guess I could do this. I gave a chat a few years ago at the Coopersville Library, where I am from, and I focused heavily on Coopersville, and no one knew the houses I was talking about. It's a tiny town. No one knew what house I was talking about, or the mailbox I was talking about, and I'm like, okay. So anyway, I tried to generalize this and not make it so Saugatuck-Douglas specific, but there, of course, is some information from your local area that I will share today. So, let's see. Don't do PowerPoint very often. Like I said, I grew up in a small town, Michigan, again, Coopersville. I have some kids. We live in Grand Haven now. I love where we're at. We moved from Grand Rapids to Grand Haven for a very specific house when we started looking, and we love being there. I miss Grand Rapids for many things, but I do love where we live in Grand Haven. This is my house. It looks very lovely. I'm putting in new landscaping, so that was a fun project last year. But when I was growing up, my parents did not take me to museums. I didn't grow up in a really cool house. It was a 2-story traditional home that was pretty 1980s. My mom liked geese, and dried flowers in baskets. And so it wasn't like I was surrounded by mid-century modernism where I thought, oh, this is exactly what I'll do. My parents have been grooming me to be interested in architecture my whole life. They literally never said anything. My mom liked Ethan Allen and Pottery Barn, right? Like normal things from the 80s. Perhaps that it was even pre-Pottery Barn, but anyway. All the things that were common in the 80s, that's what I grew up around. So it wasn't I like architecture and art, and I'm really interested in this. It was more of like, I honestly don't know how I got so interested in it. I think, well, maybe I'll show you how I did. So I graduated from my small town high school in 1999, so that puts me at 45 years old. And I spent my first year of college commuting to Grand Valley, because I had no idea what I was going to do with my precious little life. And I ended up following a very cute boy to college in Chicago and ended up at art school. I did not marry that cute boy, but I did go to art school and finish. I married a different cute boy, don't worry. But things aren't sad, that everything's good. But I graduated and I have a fashion marketing degree, so I thought I wanted to own a boutique and actually like a really cute little store down here. I'd love to do. I still think I'd like to do that, except working every day, forward-facing customers actually sounds terrible now, but when I was a kid, that's definitely what I wanted to do. This is my living room. I landed my first job after college in West Michigan at a publishing house, working in marketing, so again, fashion marketing. I just needed it was 2003, I needed a job. I needed health insurance real bad. Not for anything specific, just because that's what my mom kept telling me. You need to find a job with health insurance. I'm like, okay. So I applied for all the marketing jobs in West Michigan with zero experience except this art degree. And I ended up at a publishing house because of some connection my aunt had. I hated it. It was terrible. It was book marketing and boys club and corporate America, and I was like, I am not cut out for any of this. But I need this health insurance in my paycheck, so I stayed for 4 years. And it was there that I thought, I could probably do anything I wanted, right? My mom told me if I got good grades, I could do anything I wanted and be anything. So I kept thinking, I'm going to start this store. I'm going to own a boutique. And I was like, well, why don't you go work at a store before you do this? Good idea. So I went and I worked at a boutique, and I was like, nope, this is absolutely terrible. I hate being here. I love a lot of the things, but I don't like to I love talking to people, but I don't like to be here every day. So that was not in the cards for me. So what I ended up doing is starting a wedding planning business, and that was fantastic. I did that for 10 years. It was a lot of one-on-one, which I realized is what I really liked, so that was awesome. in this job, back to the marketing job, I started using social media. It was 2003, so things were just getting started. And I thought, oh, okay. And what I was doing is teaching authors how to use MySpace, which is actually real weird. Just teaching them how to set up an author page. So that really helped me market my own business later, but I, again, did not enjoy it so much. This is my little patio room. Yeah. Anyway, I used those marketing skills. I started blogging, which was something that people weren't really doing that often. And as a business, they were blogging like moms were blogging and students were blogging, but I was blogging as a business. So I kind of was on the forefront of doing this business, this wedding planning business. And then we moved to Grand Haven in 2013. This is my dining room, is my living room. And we spent a year renovating this home. So before we bought this house in Grand Haven, I didn't really understand what modernism was. I knew that ranches existed in Michigan, but I had never been inside one in Michigan. And so we started looking for a house, and we found we found a lot of houses. In 2012, the market was so different from what it is today. We had gone into and made a lot of offers on other mid-century homes, and we did not get them because I'm really cheap. And so I'd be like, this needs too much work. I will offer you this. And they're like, no. So this one we drove into the driveway, and when we drove in, I was like, this is the house. It's also only $140,000, so I can buy this house. It did not look like this when I bought this. It looked like the geese house I was talking to you about before. That's what was in our house when we bought it. So we drove up the driveway. I knew it was great. The price was awesome. So where do my loves? I have a thing for you. You're all welcome to take one or more, so please do. Put them on your car, drive around. Don't put them on your car, put them in your office, whatever. Anyway, so mid-century modernism has been part of my life for weirdly 35 years, but I didn't even know what it was or what I was admiring. My grandparents have lived in Palm Springs, California since the collective O. I think they started going there in the 60s. My grandpa used to sell Honda, four-wheelers and stuff, and they'd go to the Honda show in LA, and then they'd go down to Palm Springs and stay for a couple of weeks. Then it was a month. They rented this place at the Sunflower. I'm sure some of you are familiar. And they rented, and then all of a sudden in 1984, I think, 1985, they bought a condo that they still own today. It's not mid-century. It is just a 2-bedroom, little tiny 1984 condo that they continue to update. It's very cute. But anyway, so I was going there when I was 5 years old. Of course, when I was 5, I wasn't noticing anything. But in the 90s when I was there, when I was in the 5th grade, I did start noticing. I've only included one photo from Palm Springs, even though I could have included Andre, because that's what my phone photo looks like. This is a really cool butterfly roof one that has been redone. But in the early 90s when I was in grade 5, I definitely was like, what are these houses? They're super low to the ground. They kind of just disappear into the landscape. This was before Palm Springs got really into reviving these homes. So there was a period in the 80s where everyone was putting in Aztec tile and, stuccoing everything. And by I would say the mid to early 90s, people were like, these are cool houses. Maybe we should do something with these houses. So that's when that portion of the United States started to revive their houses. All the things that make this so cool, obviously the roof line, the breeze block out front. I mean, the setting, a mountain in the background and some palm trees out front. So anyway, I started taking note and I was like, this is so cool. But again, my brain did not know, I bet these are in Michigan. Never thought about it. So this is a house in Midland. One of the coolest realtors used to own this house. He just sold it. Anyway, I had no idea. What was that? I had no idea these houses existed in Michigan. So when we were chatting about the Lakeshore and kind of tailoring this to the Lakeshore from Michigan, to be honest, there's not a group, like a whole community of houses that look all like this in West Michigan at all. There's one street in Grand Rapids, Fultonwood, has 7 houses designed by Bronfima, and those are amazing. But that's the only all neighborhood that has all the same sorts of houses. So I pulled from a lot of places, but the biggest population of mid-century homes in Michigan is Midland, and I'd say a close second is Ann Arbor. So those are two where we have a lot, where they're popping up on the market all the time. So in early 2012, I started looking for a house, like I mentioned, and we found a modern one, and then we found another one and another one, so we kept offering on these houses, and that's how we landed in Grand Haven. When we were first working on our own house, we were my oldest child was 2, and so we bought this house in Grand Haven, and my husband would work on the house. It took us a year to do, and I would drive around with my first kid, and every time I'd see breeze blocks and Muskegon, Grand Haven, Holland, anywhere, I'd like slam on the brakes and like try to get a photo of it. I'm like, these people probably think I'm crazy. But I had so much fun. So when I first started the business, I was like, I want a thing that says I break up, bumper sticker that says I'm breaking for breeze blocks, so people know why I'm stopping. So that's what we did for a year or so when we were working on the house. So this is what my living room looked like when we bought the house. Maybe some of you follow the Mid-Mon-Mish page on Facebook where I share houses for sale. Yes. So the Facebook page really started my just sharing what I had learned over the year of us renovating, which I made so many mistakes in my own house, and I will try to share all of them so you don't make them. But I made so many mistakes and learned so much. Again, just a year of being like, oh, that was wrong. That was definitely wrong. But, so our living room looked like this, and I came in, and it was 2012, 2013, so on the internet, everything was gray and white, and I was like, I need gray, I need to work some gray into this place. Wrong, that's the wrong answer. So instead of spamming all of my Facebook friends and colleagues and people I started the Mid-Mon-Mish Facebook page, which then gave me a spot just to put the mid-century stuff and kind of talk to people about all the mistakes I had made and the houses that are now for sale. And hey, look at this cool stuff. Look at these, look at this. Like, don't tear this out of your house. And so that really was the catalyst for me to just put it out there. And like, I'm not an expert, I'm just learning, but this is what I've learned. So that's where I did it. This was my living room when we moved in. You can, now here's a mistake I'll point out. See these ceilings, this tongue and groove stuff? Yeah. It was unpainted when I bought it. The beams, however, had been painted. Those are Douglas fir. And I painted it white. It was a terrible idea. But I made the mistake, and I hope no one else will in the future. They will. But I will try to prevent them from doing so. So again, the Facebook page is where then I started to show what we had done too, and it was kind of like awesome because people were calling me and asking me if they could like put this stuff in magazines, and I'm like, sure, you can do everything. So the biggest one I got to do, which was like 10 years ago, was Midwest Living called. Like, you all get Midwest Living or at least seen it at the doctor. And they did this huge thing. They came to the house, and I was like, this is it, I've made it, I'm gonna do magazines. Maybe I'll write a book. I've done none of these things. But anyway, I just am like, cool. So that was really awesome. They spent a few days at our house and getting everything ready. They didn't care about the gray so much. In hindsight, I was like, oh, I need to paint everything before you come. But I still use the face, yes?
What is that wall made of?
Okay, this is a good question. It is brick. So it's Roman brick, and it's actually the whole outside of our house too, but on this wall in particular, they stacked it all one on top of the other, and then it goes, there's like a weird, I don't think I can give you close, but it like zigzags. So when they put the floors in, they had to zigzag each single cut around this. It's really cool.
Any insulation there?
I don't know. The outside of that wall is flat, so there's at least 2 brick walls. I would assume there's no insulation because when we took all the other walls down, there was 0 insulation. And I did find a little time capsule in, yeah, I found a little time capsule in that little tiny wall between the brick and the window when we took the walls down. And I put a little tiny time capsule in it with, again, back to Facebook. So that's kind of where I started my, just sharing what I had learned and just putting it out there for the world. And I'm, like I said, I still am learning things. Now the Facebook page today, I'm literally just sharing houses that are for sale. So this is what a post would look like today, where I type up a little, I've admired this home in Granville, and this is what it looks like, and then I should have pushed that see more, but I put the address and how much it is, and Something else, the address. Oh yeah, the link to the thing. So that's what I've been doing for 13 years, and that's where I've really gotten the most interaction of people. So people tell me things, they have all sorts of stuff about their house, or they'll send me a house for sale, and that's been so much interaction that I've learned so much from that. So that has been great. So after I started the Facebook page, then I decided, well, maybe I could do this for a living and make some money. So I didn't really know how to transition from doing events to houses. But a woman on the internet sent me a message and was like, hey, I live up in Rockford in this cool house. Could you come help me with it? And I said, I don't really know if I could. I don't know. I don't do this for a living. I'm not going to charge you money. But why don't I just pop by and see if I can help? Well, I walked in the front door and I was like, I know exactly what you should be doing here. And so I was like, all right. So what I did for her is just write up a little step-by-step thing of what to do in this very big house. It was so many rooms. And then I thought, okay, I need to charge. This is a lot of time to do all of this. She was appreciative, but I don't know what she ended up doing. So these are all client houses. So really, Instagram and Facebook has been where I've kind of put a bunch of information out there, and that's how I've gotten clients and just kind of honed in on what I think is mid-century. Because we're going to talk about what some people think is mid-century modern and what is really just mid-century traditional or modest or colonial revival. There's all sorts of things that were actually happening in the mid-century that were not mid-century modern. So I've been working on houses for a dozen years. My goal when I do a space for someone is to make it look like it's always been there. Some people would not want a museum quality bathroom. That's okay. But that's what my goal is. So I want someone to like drive up to the house and be like, oh, this is interesting. And to walk in and be like, oh my gosh, is this original? That's what I want someone to say. I don't want to say, oh, is this 2012? I like your gray. So there's that. Learned lesson learned. So the largest question I get from people is, what is mid-century modernism? I think that is a hard thing to define because people throw it around like confetti. In 2016, I sat down with a group of Grand Rapids realtors to talk about this, which was wild because that was already 10 years ago. I had gotten a flyer in the mail from Art Van Furniture, and it said, mid-century modern furniture. And I was like, I mean, if Art Van Furniture is doing this, then we should probably be talking about this as a whole. So I sat down in a huge auditorium of people, and no one really knew what it was. They just thought it was built between 1945 and 1975. It must be mid-century. I would disagree. So in my opinion, and you may not agree, and that's okay, I believe that when you view the house from the exterior, if you cannot see the actual roof, so the asphalt or the shingles, whatever, it is mid-century modernism. So and obviously these are all really great examples. So you have the peaked, the butterfly, the flat, the slope, the shed, and then obviously all the combos. My house is the final one, the flat and the sloped in, except you see it from the front, so you just see a straight line. There are many nuances to this. So in my opinion, what I've come up with in my head is someone goes in 1950, I want a really modern house, and their spouse says, no, we cannot be the weird house with a butterfly roof on the street. We don't want that. We can just do a normal, ranch, but you can do whatever you want inside. You can go crazy with the modernism in the inside, but from the outside, it's just gonna look like a standard ranch. So in my opinion, that's why we have so many amazing ranches that have really great details inside, but there may not be wild and crazy from the street. This is my house when Midwest Living shot it. It's the best it's ever looked because they gave me real grass, they got rid of some trees, and you can actually see the house, which is really fun. The colors have changed because I feel like I messed up the colors. I should have looked at the original photos that I had inherited with the house, and they were Usonian red, the dark red house, or dark red paint color that Frank Lloyd Wright used often. That is what my house should have been, but I did not know that until a couple years afterwards. I said, oh no, I chose the wrong window color. This is terrible. Anyway, it's all dark brown now instead of this light. It looks much better. So, the Lakeshore. This is a obviously the Lakeshore. And again, when we talked about the Lakeshore communities, I really wanted to focus on them, but since there's not a ton of, all the houses in one area, it kind of became, I'm going to show you some examples in some of these cities, but it's not a whole community of them. Let's see. And I also want to talk about just one architect that I've done my own research on because he did my house. So he designed my house, and when I have sat down to read through his information, Grand Valley has a nice little archive of his stuff. There was not a lot. I was hoping there was much more, but I did learn a lot, so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about him. So this one is down in New Buffalo. It has been changed many times over the years, but it is a 2 butterfly roofs. I would call it a folded plate roof. I don't know if that's a formal name or just something I've heard. I've also heard people call it a sawtooth roof. Over the years, the brick has been painted. Like, you can't really see any of the cool details. I believe that was most likely a carport on the right side that someone has now converted to an interior space. The driveway kind of gives that away. Obviously, could look real cute with some awesome landscaping. Like, there's a way to make this much cuter. But it does have that, yes?
So where does that drain to inside the butterfly?
That's a good question. I don't know exactly in this house. I didn't look at the roof. I know on my flat roof, which is flat, I have like a nice center drain. But I would assume this is pitched one way, or I would assume it's pitched toward the back and it runs off the back. But I do not know. Next time I'll look at the roof and see if I can tell you. Inside, I didn't even show you the inside, but it's all gray and white. Someone clearly is like flipping this house, but it's, this could be brought back. So this is something, New Buffalo, I've been through New Buffalo, cute little town, definitely potential there to make it awesome, but would need a vision to do so. This one's in Sawyer. This exterior, in my opinion, is excellent. I love the dark. I even like the chartreuse door. It has tons of glass. The inside, though, however, was all pretty boring, in my opinion. So someone had, and I didn't do inside photos for y'all, but this one is here in Douglas. This one is right by St. Peter's Church. This one is an interesting one because I've actually been inside this one. The people who bought it had me walk through with them a few years ago when they were doing a big renovation. And in my opinion, I would have left it very similar to how they had purchased it. It was in pretty original shape. I even would have restored all the windows instead of replacing them, but they were interested in like the very modern renovation. They did a great job. It's beautiful. It's not what I would have done, but it was awesome. And they did end up moving, and so they sold it and moved. But that one is really easy to see from the street if you want to drive by that one. So this one is also in Douglas, and I should say, so all these images I'm pulling from the Mid-Mountain-ish page, which is another reason why I started it, because it has a nice little, all of the things are there. I can go back for 15, 10, 12 years and look at all of the archives that I've saved over the years. Once in a while, a homeowner will email me and say, can you please take my house down? I don't want it on there. And I usually delete their first email, and then I respond to their second one when they follow up, because I don't really want to. I like that there's an archive there for myself, for this very reason, actually. So this one's in Douglas. I do not know where this one is. I know I have an address somewhere, but where is it?
Douglas, by the gully, yeah.
By the gully, okay. Yes, please let me know.
South Street or something like that.
Okay.
South and Union.
No. So I like the exterior of this one. It's dark. It blends into the landscape. I would assume, like many of these houses, it was likely Usonian red. Of course, I cannot confirm that, but this looks awesome. It just kind of blends in, and that looks pretty great. The roof line is striking. If I were driving by, I would definitely stop and look at this house a little bit. This one is also in Douglas. I don't know where these are. These are, again, from my archives. I don't know Douglas at all. So I think this does a nice wide, gable roof line, or not gable, but wide peaked roof line. The replacement windows, of course, are not my favorite. And I would love to like make it look amazing with some awesome landscaping, but this is what it looked like when I had a photo of it. And this little cutie, in my opinion, is still mid-century modern, but it's modest in size. So the really thick white traditional trim has to go. Like they should all just be painted the same color. So I don't know if this one was also on the market, but I don't remember if it was flipped inside or not. So, and then this one, someone did an excellent job with. This is also here in Douglas, and I think it's excellent. Again, striking roof line. It has double shed roof lines that intersect. It might have, I assume it has clear story windows, and that one that goes over, that would be awesome. But anyway, they did a great job with this renovation, and landscaping looks nice and tidy. So the history of Saugatuck-Douglas in the mid-century. I couldn't find any houses in Saugatuck that had been for sale in the last 10 years that I had kept and shared. So there probably are some, there's no record of them anywhere that I could find. And there were none in your books either that were mid-century modern in Saugatuck. At least I couldn't find. So, but I did pull all these really cool motels because these are awesome. So this is the Ship and Shore Motel, or the Botel, when it opened in 1960. It's on Water Street. It had 40 rooms, and it is still there, but it doesn't look like this, correct? A little bit? Okay. 38 of the rooms overlooked the Kalamazoo River, which is pretty cool. This is from your write-up, not mine. So it had blonde furniture with lots of aqua and color the carpet of the sea, apparently. I would assume that is not still inside. That would be awesome if it were, but on the street side there was a large nautical painting with mermaids and sea plants by local artist Fred Stearns. They didn't add a pool till 1982, and what I found fascinating is apparently you could ride in on your boat and rent a lanai for the night. So just like a little patio to go with your boat. I think that is super cute. I love that idea. I don't have a boat that I can sleep on, but the next motel was the Amity Motel, and this is just a bumper sticker that they had in their archives. That is Dunes Resort today. So this like welcome center in the front has this huge like sweeping roof line. Again, I don't know what this looks like today. Does it look the same? Yeah, similar?
It's been added on to.
Okay.
That's basically.
Gotcha. Yeah. So are there bigger trees there today?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because this is like in a field. This looks like a hot day. Yeah, so this was a really cool thing that they had in their archives. This was probably the most fascinating thing. This was called the Holiday Hill Marina Resort. It was on Park Street, was in Saugatuck. It also served the boat and automobile clientele, is what it said. This, however, was in the international style, which is a little different from mid-century modernism. And what sounds really cool, it had something they called sky villas, and you would reach them by a quaint little cable car. So if anyone remembers that, it sounds awesome. How fancy! And like, can you imagine being a child and being like, we're gonna ride a cable car up to our room? Sounds cool.
It's still good.
It's still there? The cable car is?
Yes.
You still ride it?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
Perfect.
This is a beautiful example of a mid-century church. This is here in Douglas. It is St. Peter's Church. I have been in here once, but it was so long ago I don't remember admiring it. So, I don't know if it's open and you can just walk around. Yeah, in your book you call it an A-frame. That's what I would call it too. There's a lot more to the church than just this, but that's the really striking part that I would definitely stop and take a picture of if I'd never seen it before. So we will continue up the Lakeshore here. So this little cutie is in Holland, and it was recently on the market. I love this. Inside was rather just boring and bland, but the outside I think they did an incredible job. That dark paint really helps make that mid-century brick shine. There's the built-in planter in the middle, and then that strong roof line, like again, just really striking, even though it's just a flat roof, but it really makes it just look really great. This house, may it rest in peace, was in Grand Haven, and this is a photo I took in November of 2014, driving around with that kid sleeping in my car, and it stopped me dead in my tracks. So it's called a hyperbolic paraboloid roof line, and there are so few of these that every time. The Welcome Center in Palm Springs, which was a gas station at the foot of the tram, has this big, if you have ever looked, that's just the biggest, most striking example. But this was a house in Grand Haven that was a rental for a very long time, I believe. And so I took a picture of this. Every time I'd go on a drive, I'd go visit this house and just drive by and like look at it. And then one day I got there and there were construction things around it. And I'm like, they're gonna take this house down. I'm not gonna show you the McMansion they have put in its place because I will cry. It was terrible. So we all know like Lakeshore property is something that is gonna be hard to save going forward as these original or second time owners end up selling these very beautiful homes that maybe haven't been as kept up as I would like to see. People just come in and they just take them down. So I have saved a lot of things from these homes. People will reach out and be like, hey, I have all these lights, or I have all this. They really want me to take their tile, which is just a hot mess to try to get mortar off tile, but I have done it. Anyway, so as these come down, it is very sad. I know there was, I don't have a picture of it, but I know there was a Keck and Keck designed home in Grand Haven too. Keck and Keck was a brother architect team out of Chicago. They designed a very square house in Grand Haven that it has been long gone. I don't even know if I've ever seen it from the street, maybe once. But we will continue. I'll try not to make you sad. This is an amazing house on Spring Lake with a lot of intersecting just flat roofs. It has this huge fireplace column that is just really cool, awesome. This I would say is Usonian red. I would say that if it wasn't this, that's what they were going for with this specific shade of paint. It makes the brick look awesome, the stone look awesome. I mean, that stone up on top of that fireplace probably is a nice power wash to get rid of the green, but that happens all the time.
Red didn't use that kind of red.
What was that? You did
Usonian.
Usonian, yeah, yep.
That's Franklin, right?
Yep. This is one up in Manistee, so we'll continue up our lakeshore. This has the peaked with the flat portion. I couldn't really tell if the flat portion was over like a breezeway, but I didn't look hard enough, but that is what that one is. And again, I love that dark paint. If it was Usonian red, it is brown now. I like all the details on this. And then we will end with Traverse City. This is the last one I pulled for our Lakeshore tour. Someone did redo this. Again, I would say that was likely an open carport or a garage. The driveway gives it away. And actually the inside did too. But this one's been redone. I think they did an excellent job. I love the clear story windows on the right side of the house. That probably helps bring in a lot of light there. And then the fireplace looks awesome with the darker paint. So I would have done that roof line dark, but the white doesn't look terrible. So how do people build a mid-century house? They went to their lumberyard. So when I did this presentation a few years ago, that's how we got started on this. This is from the Coopersville Lumber Company, which is just one tiny town in all of Michigan. And you could go in and pick up a book, and you could pick any plan you wanted. These are modern homes. And they are, I love all these renderings. I love when they show you the inside. I think like this is so cute just to see very modern furniture, a modern light, these modern seats. In the same book, there are clearly more traditional homes that you can use them to, and they would have eagles on the inside instead of modern furniture. So you can build it as it was, just like anything today, or you can make adjustments. And then the other way to do it is to hire an architect. And so I feel like that was probably lower on what was going on in West Michigan, just based on what I see. But this is the architect that designed my house. His name is Chris Janis Grants. He was a Latvian refugee that came here during World War II. And this was in the Grand Valley Archives. This is a home in New Jersey. I don't know if it was ever built. I didn't ever follow up on it, but it was for a family. And he, when he moved to Grand Haven, the articles that I read said he designed over 100 houses in Muskegon and Grand Haven. Well, I have driven the streets in Muskegon and Grand Haven. There are not 100 wow houses. So there are some cool ones. traditional ranches, and that's what the clientele wanted. So I would say West Michigan is more conservative in many things, and I would say the architecture was probably one of them as well. So when he started designing in Grand Haven, people, from the articles I read, they were very intrigued by this futuristic way of designing things. So I love this. This was in the archive as well. This was his business card. And I love it because my house has that little post, the little post on it. So I did look up his, this says it's 530 Franklin Street, I believe. Yes. And I think it's just a parking lot for the church next door today. So I was like, I bet it was right here. So, and the church is really cool too. So maybe he also did the church. He did do a lot of schools in our area and churches and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you the house that got away because I feel like this is a fun little thing. So when we were looking back in 2012, we came across this house. And I'll show it to you quick. This house, and then I found the plans. And so of course, I assumed that this house was designed by an architect because it's so striking. It's on Mona Lake in Norton Shores, Muskegon. And years after we offered on this house, which was so sad, I put a very low ball offer on. I had my mason out, there was tons of brickwork that needed to be fixed. And I had him out and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna offer you $180,000. Not a lot, but also it was 2012, so it wasn't too crazy. It ended up, she didn't even counter offer me. She was so offended by my offer fair, but she didn't even like throw another number back. It sold 6 months later for $185,000. I definitely would have paid $5,000 extra. So okay, thank you. That's how I felt. I still feel that way, to be honest. So we ended up in a good house, but this one was really cool. So I came across this and I'm like, oh my gosh, that house I love so much. And it really is. It had an excellent plan. It was a big, giant, sprawling tri-level. You walked in, there was a formal living room, you went upstairs to bedroom, then you went downstairs to the kitchen and the den. It was awesome. Even the back is gorgeous. So again, like mid-century modernism was really about blending in with the house, everything, just kind of living with the land, and just being amazing, exceptionally like, whoa, tell me more about this house. So besides the roof line, what else makes it mid-century modern? I want to show you a couple of time capsules so we can kind of quickly go through this. I'm sorry, this does not have, oh, it does have a thing, yes. Oh, I only have 8 minutes, okay. So this is a mid-century modern house. I believe this one is in Midland, and it's quite exceptional. So from the front, you see this lovely roof line that would make me stop. In the back, you see it's kind of into the ground. It's got the dark paint. The dark paint helps the limestone ledge and the brick pop. The wood on houses usually had some sort of texture, so this one is a nice vertical. On my own house, I have little skinny stuff. It's called Weld-Tex that you can still get today. There's no extra colors, so there's no like trim color. There's no really fancy wooden garage door that's like, look at me, I'm a garage door. That's one of my pet peeves today. Like the garage should just blend in with the house. And it blends in with its natural setting really easily. So all these are things that make it just awesome. I love the stone pathway. The hedges probably came a little further, but they're kind of doing a little sad right now. You walk in the front door, there's these large unpainted windows. They are wood. The trim, the baseboards, all unpainted. This is a textbook time capsule mid-century house. You've got these beautiful ceilings, again, unpainted. This awesome cut, split fieldstone fireplace. Even the drapes are still here. So those went as far up as they could without running into those beams and just spanned the whole front of the house. All this warm wood. The original kitchen is here. So this is a full overlay and kitchen design. You don't see anything else. You just see the big old door. They even have the tiny, I think it's a piano hinge, the little tiny hinge that you just see a little baby part of it. It's super minimal. They do have parquet floors in here. The countertops are probably updated. That roundedness makes me think so, yes. And the shininess does not look like laminate, which would have been here. And even appliances have changed. More beautiful wood ceilings, beautiful pinch pleat drapes. A sunroom with tons of windows and even drapes in the sunroom, the skylight. This is the built-in I wanted to share. You know, lots of houses have built-ins, but this one looks just like the kitchen. The bathroom. So this is the original mint green bathroom with the 4x4 tiles. The heater in the wall-to-wall mirror.
Sally Sachs.
People make bathroom design so crazy these days, and they're like, this is all you need. You just need some 4x4s. Let's do it. The other bathroom, I would say both of these countertops have been updated. Again, the simple tile, the beautiful wooden vanity. Even the laundry room is gorgeous. Like, what? I want a laundry room that looks like that. So just super simple, lots of space, but everything is just tucked away. The outside has some living space. Now I'm going to show you a mid-century modest home. Also, this is on Lake Makatawa, so I'm afraid whoever bought this probably doesn't exist anymore, the house. Again, exterior has all this brick and stone, maybe on the planter. The inside, it's like grandma never left. She's still there. It's so cute! But this is not a modern example of mid-century. This is a more modest, traditional. Again, it has the wood. So I wanted to show you two houses that had similar things, but one was modern and one was modest. Original kitchen, that gingerbread over the sink is adorable, but definitely not modern. That's more traditional, more modest. This also has built-in this cute little thing. The diner chair is a little kitschy, but super cute. Wood panel den with pinch pleat drapes. That's how I love drapes like that. Most people are like, absolutely not. I'm like, absolutely. Again, same sort of bathroom. Tile, the vanity, the wood, everything there. I would assume that, what was that? The swan, yeah. Is there a goose in there too? No, I'm just kidding. That drop-in sink is probably not original. They probably updated that at some point. And also a laundry room with beautiful cabinetry. This is a tiny house. And also an outdoor living space. So super cute. And a beautiful view that now probably houses a mini mansion. So I also wanted to go quickly through objects that are not homes, but they're still MCM, mid-century modern. So I brought my example of a mailbox. This mailbox is a copy of an original mailbox. I know two that still exist, one on my street and one in Coopersville. And it was made by a company in Coopersville. They were, what's the name? Lee Products. So that was something, I bought new ones, someone reproduced this, and I bought a new version of it. I actually have a few because of their long stories, and this is just my showpiece here to show you today. Lee had all sorts of cool products, and I'm sure many companies across the United States. When everything was made in the USA, right, we had all these fun things. This was one thing I just saw for the first time in a house in Grand Haven, a little chute to just like push your stuff down. And again, you'd see that in a modern or modest house, but just a fun little detail that I thought was fun. And her heels and her, yeah, she's ready to work for the day. She's got a girdle on and everything. Yeah. This is another fun thing I saw in a client's house once, is to hold your shoes. So all these little products that were, forward thinking, keep the little lady's life busier, or not busier, less busy and more organized by offering all these nice things in the mid-century that help you keep your, this one would be your closet. My client had this in their closet still. And I thought, oh, that's cool. I don't wear heels, but I could probably put my sneakers up there somehow, right? These are original owners' houses. I don't have time to go into interviewing them, but I have interviewed many original owners over the years. This is a house in Spring Lake. They have both now passed on, and I have walked through it post the new owners owning it. I'm just going to kind of show you this. You can see I'm getting close on my time. This was designed, this is also in Grand Haven. This is an architect designed home. He actually lived in this home with his wife, and I was able to sit down with her in 2015 and talk to her about his work and their home. And then, this is one you might know. This is Mrs. Furcano of Furcano's Pizza. This is Mrs. Furcano's house. She still lives there. She's about 96, I think. I got to sit down with her in 2018 and chat with her about her house. And she just said the builders adjusted this design, and they were like, oh, okay. sounds good. And they built this really cool box. I asked her why it was blue, and she assured me it was gray. Okay. I said, all right. I was like, it's definitely blue from the street. Anyway, very cool house. I actually, for a really long time, wanted to buy this. I wanted to swap houses with her because my family would fit in this house. She had 6 kids. And I'm like, you come live in my house. I don't have any thresholds. You just walk right in the front door. I didn't actually propose this to her, but in my brain, I was like, we could just swap houses and I'll redo yours. It was sweet. Sadly, she lives on a 10-acre, real narrow lot. This will likely come down for apartments. I probably can't afford a $2 million plot, so I don't know really. And then last time I did a thing, we had lots of questions about what about this and this and this. So I wanted to just show a few other things. This is Googie architecture. It's concentrated in Los Angeles. I don't know enough about it to talk to you for a long time, but if you wanted to learn more, it exists. It's amazing.
Is it LAX?
LAX. This is LAX, but yeah, so most of the Googie architecture in general is in LA. So this is so cool. Kitsch design. So someone asked me, what about this? And so in my opinion, kitschy interior design is more of like atomic starbursts and bright bold colors, and that's up for interpretation and your own. So I'm not here to tell you what is what, but that's how I like this paint. This very cute. It's a metal kitchen painted this beautiful aqua. I would call that kitschy. I wouldn't put that in a mid-century modern house. I would usually put a wooden kitchen, but this is so cute and definitely worth it in the right house. This is streamlined modern. I have heard it called art modern, and it's a style of Art Deco. It was kind of after Art Deco period, and this is the most iconic image I can always find on the internet. I love this Greyhound station. I am obsessed with it. Can I live in the Greyhound station? I don't know. It is so cute. And then Bauhaus design, I don't know enough to talk. I know it was this is the earliest photo that I found. It was from 1911 in Germany, and I just don't know enough about it to answer any questions about all those periods, but they do all exist. I think people in the United States have kind of just grouped everything into mid-century modern. And if you were to take it apart and figure out, like, wait a sec, what is this rounded? This is weird. Then you just learn more. But you have to have one of those people come and chat about that. This is how you can keep up with me. I have lots of spots. So I'm mostly on Instagram, my own name, Aletha with an underscore. I also share houses on Instagram for sale. I'm in Monimish and on Facebook. My work is True Home Restorations, where I work with clients one-on-one to update their stuff. Their homes. And then I am actually working on a little streamlined building, and I have been for 7 years. It's called Mercury Mercantile. It's right around the corner from our house. And hopefully one day I'll be able to use it as an office, but the township is not nice. So we'll see where that ends up. And then I just included some photos of houses I've worked on to kind of just end us out. And I know I'm running late, so actually just 2 minutes. I did it. Okay. What kind of questions can I answer? Yes.
I just wanted to follow up on the comment that John made about Usonian red.
Mm-hmm.
Are Frank Lloyd Wright's Usonian homes considered mid-century modern?
Oh, this is a good question. I'm not a Frank Lloyd Wright expert, but I have been to many of his properties to kind of just take them all in. And so obviously we know that I don't even know if it started with, but obviously like in Michigan or in Grand Rapids, you have the Meyer May house, which is prairie style home. And then obviously he kind of moves toward modernism, in my opinion. I think he called them Usonian houses. I have a friend who lives in one, and everything is on a 30 or 120. There's no rectangles in the whole house. And so I really learned a lot about her house. There's lots of the same principles. There's probably even more nuances that he included that I just don't know about. But I would say yes. I would say if you were driving by one of those homes and you noticed it, like low in the landscape, and he was notorious for everything being super low. He was short, I think, right? And so I would say yes. I wouldn't say every single one falls into it, just because people would see that prairie house in Grand Rapids, the Meyer May house, and say, this is mid-century modern, because they don't know, and that's okay. People walk by my house and they're like, oh, did Frank Lloyd Wright do this? And I'm like, no. He's like a famous man, but he is the only architect that most people have heard of if you talk about architects. Yes.
I'm just kind of curious about some of the elements. It seemed like there was a real emphasis on bringing life in with windows and,
Yes.
you know, sometimes 2 stories. Is that like a standard feature?
I would say yes, and I would say in Michigan, we, like at my own house, I know I even have big windows in the front, but in different parts of the country, they sometimes have a very private front and a very glassy back. So I would say yes, but again, so many different ways that people did it. And I think even Frank Lloyd Wright homes, sometimes you walk up there and there's 0 windows at the front. There's just a long corridor to get to the front door. And then you walk in and you're like, whoa, this is crazy awesome, but I didn't know that from the street. So yes and no, that's a good answer.
Well, the other question I had was, how did they ever sell carports in our climate?
I've had clients with carports, and I would say they usually have a storage locker somewhere in it that has like a little lock, so you can put your stuff into that. I don't know, it keeps your car like, my car is still freezing in my garage, it's not like it's warm. I don't know the answer, like how they did it. I would say whoever said it was cheap is probably right, yeah. Yeah, and if it was a vacation home for someone that was maybe only here in the summertime, they didn't really care about it. I feel like I could come up with lots of ideas in my brain. I don't know if any of them are right. The cheap seems right. Anything else? Yes?
What's the name of that funny roof again? Something bolic?
Oh, a hyperbolic paraboloid.
Hyperbolic what?
Paraboloid?
Paraboloid.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you Google it, you can read about exactly how big and how much it's showing, but it's like kind of like a concave and then it comes up. If you look at the Palm Springs Aerial Tramview Welcome Center, that has just been amazing. It's so huge. It's
Is it prone to leaking or anything like friends' houses?
I don't know. I would say it has like natural, like it's not like flat anywhere. So it always reminds me of. I would say I've never had a leak in my house on our flat roof, but my husband goes up there a lot to clean that drain and blow it all off and make sure it's working. So yeah.
Is it fair to say that most of them are 1-story versus 2-story?
So I would say if there was room where they built, there's lots, mostly 1 stories, where I am, yes. But in East Grand Rapids, I see a lot of 2 stories with flat roofs because their lots were so much smaller. If you go to Chicago and you find any in the city, which there are a few, I mean, they're 2 or 3 stories, and then they have some wacky, front door that's like, ooh, that looks interesting, but you're on a tiny lot. So I would say the plans I've seen are usually quite sprawling. In Grand Haven, just because I'm there all the time, there are a couple little tiny ones that were likely built that way just because of the lot size. So they are 1 story, yeah.
I didn't interject on that. I feel like I noticed a lot, I think ahead of its time is, especially in this area, you find like most farmhouses have the Michigan basements, but a lot of the mid-century modern had a basement that was like a functional space.
Yes.
Like they had a rec room, or not, even if it wasn't finished, they had the painted floor, like a shuffleboard court, or that type of thing, but it was like some sort of functional space.
Yeah.
And I always think it's interesting because they were built around the same time. Like my parents' farmhouse had like the basement that wasn't being used at all. I'm like, why were they building basements at the same time and didn't use any of the spaces?
And that's regional too, so out west they did it because of the rock bed, I think.
Yeah.
And so flooding in other parts of the area, or the world, I suppose. I'm just showing you photos of this. Yes.
I could add a comment.
Yeah.
For people not familiar with it. That building in LAX, that was a restaurant.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I actually ate there as a child.
You have like a picture of you and like people out of it.
It was before they put all the construction, so Chili's stood out for all those.
I'm sure.
And so it's really
Where are we?
cool.
We're in the future is where we're at.
Oh, yes,
Welcome to LA.
Yes, well, and the whole airport.
Yes. I have not taken that tour for Sarahman Design. That's actually, isn't that at JFK? Where did you think of it? Yeah, I think that's cool.
There were tiles, hallways that went out. They were all multiple rainbow colors. Those, in some cases, are still there.
Yeah.
We're kind
The
of,
amount
my parents
of
were no
price.
price, so
Just don't do it like that.
So we're
In my porch, terrazzo floor, they're not like laying each thing aside. Yeah.
very Midwestern
Oh,
ranch.
wow.
Yeah.
See, when people want to go fun, this we can get real quick. Give you some strikes in line. Here's another. This is a good little house to show you. This is just a little tiny bungalow in Grand Rapids with an addition off the back. And I was able to put this little tiny walk-through kitchen in there. It was awesome. I loved it. Hopefully they stay for a really long time. It was not cheap. And I worked on a couple new houses. I don't do this often, but this was a new build down on Lake Macatawa. They are both awesome artists. He does welding and she does like modern quilts. Her work is amazing. They're both awesome. They also roasted coffee. I actually designed this whole kitchen around their espresso machine, which you can kind of see. It was like it had to be like, you know, piped in with water and drainage. I'm like, I'm designing this whole kitchen around where this espresso machine is. Okay, how'd you do that? And this is the only A-frame I've worked on. This is down on Eagle Lake in Bloomington.
Is that cork?
It is a cork floor, yeah, which is period appropriate. I don't have a lot of people that use it, but I like it. It's kind of soft. I didn't give you the other side of this is all glass. It's so pretty. I'm showing you my kitchen. This is a cute little house in East Grand Rapids. Just like a little 2-bedroom house, but really cool. That was a white oak kitchen. I don't do that a lot. And this is a house in Grand Rapids. Oh, it's from Rubberwood. That's where that's in. And this is the only house I've ever had someone request to like literally create them a time capsule, and it was so fun. It was about 10 years ago. The story was cute. The man grew up down the street, but he said he had dinner with his family more than he ate with his own family, so he was always at these people's houses. And he bought it from his sister, who had not destroyed it, but just not maintained it. And so we did everything. We stripped nicotine and tar off this wall. I did not do any of the physical labor, but we did the whole thing. We replaced the whole kitchen, and it looked exactly like it did. It was awesome. It was good. All these things are on my Facebook page if you want to see more of these specific houses. So there's little albums on there that you can scroll through everything. That is my last slide. What? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Just a thought, you might want to, in studying your mid-century stuff, Smithsonian, because Frank Lloyd Wright did begin the whole concept of bringing the outside in and small spaces, very convenient and so forth, and the flow is direct into the mid-century.
That's a good idea.
It's just a very direct influence.
I'd have to do a lot more research on it.
Start in Madison with the Jacobs One House.
Okay.
1938.
Yeah, that's really old. That's awesome. I have been to Taliesin West, and I've done that, and that was amazing. It's enormous.
Well, that's
Very different than, okay, yep.
That's not Soviet.
So what would you consider that one?
Right?
What would you consider that?
Oh, Frank Lloyd Wright.
Oh.
Italian.
So Frank Lloyd Wright is so huge. I don't have all that knowledge, but that is a good thing to focus on. Yeah. Cool. Good to know.
If you are interested in the Usonian homes,
Mhm.
there's actually an area in upstate New York called Usonia.
Yes.
And it's fantastic.
Yeah.
That will really give you a really
That would
good
be
idea.
It's a whole style that really leads directly into the mid-century. It's quite lovely.
Yeah.
And built to be very inexpensive for the person, the family who is going to do it, to be able to build it themselves.
Oh, wow.
It's very inexpensive.
There is a little spot in Okemos, Michigan that has a lot of them, or you know, am I incorrect?
Cranbrook area,
Cranbrook.
like Birmingham area.
Gotcha.
Yep. Suburbs. There's several Frank Lloyd Wright houses too in the Detroit area.
What about the Galesburg community?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's 5 in Galesburg. Yeah.
Yeah, there are.
And I've been to a couple of those. Cool. Right, well, thanks all